Hi boys and girls, today we are going to be painting the background of our Zentangle flowers that we did last art class. So last art class we filled our flowers with different patterns, different Zentangles, and today I'm going to show you how to mix different tints to create the ombre faded effect for the background of your flowers. So we just got done talking about value and tints and shades and how we create them. So what I'm going to show you today is how to start at the bottom of your value scale and mix your color to move up the value scale as we add more pigment. So I'm going to keep this to the side for reference. And what you have is a piece of paper. That's going to be your paint palette. And you also have a mixing stick. What you're going to start with is the white paint first. You are going to take that white paint and you have a white stick for the white paint, and you're just going to put a dollop of white on your paint palette first. So I have a small amount of white, and the next thing I'm going to do is, looking at my value scale, I'm starting at 10. So white is 10. We're not just going to paint our background with white. It wouldn't show up on our white paper. So our goal first is to create a number 9 on our value scale. So to create that number 9 that I want to create first, what I'm going to do is I am going to take whichever color I'm using. I'm going to take the stick and I'm going to just get one scoop of that color, and I'm going to put that stick back in that color. So you have a white stick, you have a blue stick, and then you have your own mixing stick. So I have my white down, which is my 10 on my value scale, and I have one scoop of blue. I'm going to use my mixing stick, and I'm just going to mix that together. And when I mix that together, I'm going to try and keep it as together as possible. I don't want to spread it out on my paper into a really big area. I want to try and keep it in the same area as best as I can. So as I'm mixing this, you'll see that I'm getting a lighter version of blue. So I turned my white into a light blue. So I took my 10 and I made it a 9. I'm just going to set my mixing stick to the side, and I'm going to go ahead then and grab my flower. Now yours is filled with Zentangles, but I'm just showing you how to do the background. So I have my brush. I'm going to use that 9 value that I just created. And what I want to do is I want to follow right along this line that we created at the top of our petals. And I want to create a smooth area of that blue that I just created. When I start to run out of paint, I'm just going to grab some more, and I want to make it an even line as best as I can, following this shape that I've drawn. So when I say even line, I mean how thick my line is. So I'm pushing down on my brush so that my brush bristles kind of spread out, and I get this thick line that is pretty even the whole way across. I feel pretty good about it. Okay. So I did my 9 on my scale. I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to come back to my paint palette. I added 1 scoop before, so now to make the next value on my scale, I'm going to add an additional scoop. Put that stick back. I'm going to grab my mixing stick, and I'm going to now mix 1 shade darker. Now, since we are only adding white to our color, we are only mixing different versions of tints. We are not making any shades today because we're not using any black. So even though our color is getting a little bit darker, we're still only creating different tints because we're not using any black. So I'm going to take my brush, no need to rinse it or anything. I'm going to get some of that new color on my brush, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to follow along my previous paint line, And I'm going to try and get as close to it as possible. I don't want to leave any peekaboos in between my first line and my next line. I'm going to take my time and I'm going to try and follow along that shape as best as I can, making my line even and covering up those white spots. Okay, so I have 2 of my values done so far. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to add another scoop of blue, do a line, add another scoop of blue, do another line. I'm going to continue this process until my entire background is filled up. Okay, so I have created the faded effect in my background by taking white and adding my pure color to it multiple times and moving up the value scale. So that is what we will be doing in the background of our Zentangle flowers.